Now, she caused controversy almost 30 years ago when she published an unofficial biography on Princess Diana. And now Lady Colin Campbell is back with another book, this time documenting the relationship between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
But just how accurate is it? Well, Lady C joins us now to reveal more. Good morning to you. Thank you for talking to us today. So we've got a copy of the book here, all sorts of different claims. But for someone who allegedly moves in aristocratic circles, isn't this all a bit tawdry and undignified?
There's nothing tawdry and undignified about the truth, and nor is there anything tawdry and undignified about our history in the making. And one would have to be awfully unimaginative to not realise that Harry and Meghan's story is history in the making.
Is it quite hard to sort of embark on writing a biography and not be able to contact or speak to the person or have it verified by them?
Well, you don't want, if you know anything about writing biographies or what is regarded as a good biography, you have minimal input from the person about whom you are writing. In fact, usually biographies are written about people who are dead. But when I wrote my biography of the Princess of Wales, the problem is I knew her and I had to keep myself out of it. It is much better to not know or be involved with the person unless you're writing a hagiography. But if you're writing an impartial, proper biography, you speak to everybody around them. You speak to people who rarely know them and who rarely know what's going on. You do not need, unless you're a minister of propaganda, to have input from the person. In fact, usually it's very bad to have input from the person because they skewer the narrative in their favour.
And the problem is, and I always wonder whether, because you won't, obviously, I wouldn't expect you to name the people that you've spoken to, but after your Diana book, I would be surprised if any members of the royal family or aristocracy would want to willingly talk and get involved with more gossip. But
well, that shows how ignorant you are, if I may point out, because the fact of the matter is that my Diana biography, as People magazine said, was the most believable of all of the biographies. And if anybody knows anything about the way the Wales story evolved, had it not been for my biography, Diana would have thrown Charles to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll prove myself to be even more ignorant now by interrupting you, but respected commentator Judy Wade said, "I've never seen Lady Colin Campbell with a member of the royal family or on a job about the royal family." The Queen's former press secretary, Dickie Arbiter, said, "I will not dignify anything Lady Colin Campbell writes or says with a comment." Paul Burrell, who'd have thought we'd quote him, but said of one of your previous books on the Queen, you can only be a true, reliable witness to history if you are there. Lady Colin Campbell was none of these things.
Well, first of all, I don't dignify anything Paul Burrell says. He's a disloyal servant and I don't deal with servants. That's the first thing. The second thing is Dickie Arbiter knows only too well that I went into Buckingham Palace with the Princess of Wales's approval to see him about doing an authorised biography on her. And she is the one who changed it into an unofficial biography. And that then we fell out when she was telling lies about the Prince of Wales. So that's the other one. And I've forgotten who the third one was that you mentioned. Who was the third one that you mentioned?
Who was the third
It was Judy Wade.
Oh, Judy Wade. Well, darling heart, Judy Wade, with due respect, is a journalist. I do not associate with any member of any royal family, except if I'm going to be acting as a lady-in-waiting to friends of mine, publicly. My relationships with all members of all royal families are private. And if you knew anything about my private life, which you don't because I do not leak like a sieve, I'm not a Meghan or a Harry.
But you are a gossip.
What?
Well, you're a gossip.
Everybody's a gossip. Gossip is history in the making or history that has already happened.
Only when it suits you.
No, not when it suits me, when it's the truth. I think if you had any respect for the truth, you would be able to appreciate that people who actually stand up and are counted and go against the tide understand the truth.
I think you'll find I've done that myself. Let's get back to your book. And some of the things you said there. Do you think now that they have lifted themselves out of royal life and they've set up their life in America with their family, do you think it's helped? Because you talk about Prince Harry's mental health there in the book and that he can be vulnerable. Is it helpful to write an alleged tell-all book?
Yes, it is. It is, because you can't have mental health if you can't face the truth. I mean, this seems to be a debate about whether people should stand up and be honest or whether people should slink in the shadows and pretend. And no, you can't have mental health if you can't stand up and be truthful and honest and represent yourself fairly.
I don't understand what that means. You can't have
You
mental...
don't understand what it means. You should understand what it means. Everybody who has integrity knows what it means, so you should understand what it means.
Perhaps you could clarify.
I was only asking a clarification. You can't have mental health if you can't sorry, would you just mind clarifying it for me? Apologies.
You cannot be mentally healthy unless you have integrity and stand up for the truth and stand up for what you know to be true, not only about yourself, but about the truth generally.
I guess for them as a couple, they would suggest that maybe they are having integrity by, as a couple, removing themselves from something that they've... I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on. No one really does. But I guess ultimately these are two people that love each other and wanted a private life. I guess there is integrity in that.
My dear, they do love... Well, certainly it is a love story, that I will agree with. Harry definitely loves Meghan. Meghan certainly appears to love Harry. Whether they have gone to Hollywood, where they have the public and the paparazzi have far more access to them than they would in England, is disputable. And by their own account and admission, they have gone to Hollywood to achieve financial independence, because $40 million was not enough for them. So no, I'm awfully sorry. I do not for 1 second buy that they have gone to Hollywood for privacy, because they would have had far more privacy had they remained in England. And any fool knows that to be a fact.
And I mean, you've gone further to say that she may be going to run for president at some point.
And that's what she told people. She's told people her ultimate ambition is to run for president. And she announced last week that she is going into politics, notwithstanding the fact that no member of the British royal family is allowed to enter politics. She has leaked to her friends and through her friends and to her favorite journalists that she is going into politics. So she's confirmed what I said, but I got it from somebody she instructed. And
as far as their future is concerned, how do you envisage that?
Well, I'm not a fortune teller, and I try never to predict. But I would say it's sort of obvious that their timing has been regrettable, because, of course, through no fault of their own, they decamped just before coronavirus. This has it's caused a whole load of problems for them. It's also impacted adversely upon their credibility and their prestige, because any contribution they now make to this subject seems to antagonize a lot of the British public and seems to be almost intervention as opposed to assistance. So I think, but I don't want to predict. I wish them well. I hope that they will ultimately live up to their responsibilities and that they will fulfill them, and that she, who is in a unique position historically, will begin to embrace the tremendous privilege and honor which she has been given to represent the hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people of color all over the world. And there is no better platform for doing it than as a working member of the British royal family. one of the reasons why British royals, and indeed all royals who are members of a constitutional monarchy, do so well in humanitarian terms is that they are above politics and they are above commercial and the problems of being associated with commerce. You cannot have clean hands and be commercially and politically viable. That's why there is the rule, no royal is to be involved in politics or commerce.
Even though they have backed out of the royal duties?
Well, they certainly have, big time, haven't they? And I think that's very regrettable. I think it's very regrettable. Of course, if you read my book, you will see in my book that there are sound financial reasons for having your own entity, because they're not even calling it a foundation or a charity. But, you know, up to 95% of the proceeds of that entity can be absorbed by the people who are a part of the entity. So 5% goes to the cause and 95% goes into the pockets of the people. Philanthropy in America is a big wheeze. It's a big tax avoidance racket.
OK.
All right.
All right. Well, we've got to leave it there.
Thank you for
it's
joining
been
us
fascinating,
today.
if a little patronising, but thank you very much indeed for joining us today, Lady Colin Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.